Have you ever been the family ATM while watching everyone else get treated like valued customers? I used to think my generosity was building love. I was building resentment instead. The notification pings on my phone at 6:47 a.m. on a Tuesday, the kind of early morning that smells like fresh coffee and possibility. I'm grading papers at my kitchen table in my small Austin apartment, red pen hovering over a student's essay about family traditions, when I see the charge, $3,247 to Southwest Airlines. My stomach drops, not because I can't afford it, but because I know exactly what this means. Another family trip I'm funding, but somehow won't be fully included in. I'm Tiffany Zimmerman, 33 years old, and I've been teaching high school English for 12 years. My salary isn't impressive by Austin standards, $67,000 annually in a city where tech workers make twice that. But I'm careful with money. I drive a reliable Honda Civic, shop at H-E-B instead of Whole Foods, and my biggest splurges are books for my classroom and the occasional dinner at my favorite Thai place on South Lamar. What I don't spend carefully on is my family. The irony isn't lost on me that I'm correcting an essay about family traditions while my phone buzzes with evidence of my own family's most reliable tradition, expecting me to pay for things. The student wrote about Sunday dinners where everyone contributes something: grandmother's rolls, uncle's famous brisket, cousins bringing sides. I write, "Beautiful example of reciprocity" in the margin, then laugh bitterly at my own hypocrisy. My family's version of reciprocity looks different. Mom calls with her sweet voice, the one she uses when she needs something. "Tiffany, honey, we're planning the most wonderful family reunion in Colorado. The mountains will be gorgeous in July, and you know how Daddy loves fly fishing. We found this perfect cabin that sleeps 12. She pauses, and I can practically hear the calculation in her silence. "It's a little pricey, but we thought since you don't have kids or a mortgage like Marcus does." The unfinished sentence hangs there, heavy with implication. Marcus is my younger brother, 31, who works in tech and makes nearly triple my salary. He also has a wife, 2 kids, and a sprawling house in Cedar Park with a pool. According to family logic, this makes him financially strapped and me financially available. Never mind that his struggles include paying for a nanny and wondering whether to upgrade to a Model X Tesla. I should have said no. I should have suggested we each pay our own way or looked for something more affordable, or at minimum asked about the budget before agreeing. Instead, I heard the excitement in Mom's voice when she described the whole family finally being together. All 4 kids, their spouses, the grandchildren, and I felt that familiar tug of wanting to belong, to be necessary, to be the daughter who makes things possible. "Of course," I said, the words slipping out before my practical teacher brain could stop them. "Send me the details, and I'll book everything." That conversation happened 3 weeks ago. Since then, I've paid for the cabin rental, $2,400 for a week, flights for 6 family members, $3,247, grocery deposits, $400, and rental cars for everyone since mine, apparently, wouldn't be comfortable for mountain driving. The total sits somewhere north of $7,000, nearly 15% of my annual salary before taxes. I've been eating peanut butter sandwiches for lunch and skipping my usual Friday dinners out to make the numbers work. But I told myself it would be worth it. A whole week with everyone, hiking trails and making s'mores and playing board games like we used to when we were kids. I pictured group photos by the lake, Marcus's kids finally getting to know their teacher aunt better, Long conversations with my parents about something other than money for once. I even bought new hiking boots and a Colorado guidebook, planning activities that would bring us closer together. The second charge notification comes in while I'm reviewing lesson plans for my summer school kids. Another $840 to some outdoor adventure company in Aspen. I don't remember authorizing this, but my credit card number is saved in Mom's phone from previous family expenses. The description reads, whitewater rafting, party of 8, party of 8. I count in my head. Mom, Dad, Marcus, his wife Jessica, their 2 kids, my sister Amy, and her boyfriend. That's 7 people. The 8th person should be me, except no one mentioned whitewater rafting, and no one asked if I wanted to go, and no one seems to have factored in that I'm terrified of deep water. I call Mom, my hands shaking slightly as I dial. She answers on the 4th ring, sounding distracted and happy. "Oh, Tiffany, we were just talking about you. Marcus found this amazing adventure package, and since you're already covering so much, we thought you wouldn't mind adding this little bit. It's going to be such a bonding experience for everyone." "Mom," I start carefully, "the charge says party of 8, but I wasn't included in planning this. Are you sure there's space for me?" The pause stretches long enough that I can hear my sister laughing in the background, probably at something one of the kids said. When Mom finally responds, her voice carries that particular tone she uses when she's about to explain why something that hurts me is actually reasonable. "Well, sweetie, Marcus thought since you don't really like water activities, you might prefer to stay back at the cabin with a good book. You always say you need more reading time, and honestly, the age limit is 16 and up, so it works out perfectly since Tommy just turned 16. Everyone fits. Everyone fits except me." The math is suddenly crystal clear. I've paid for a family vacation that was planned around my absence. I'm funding my own exclusion, subsidizing bonding experiences I'm not invited to join. As I sit in my small apartment, surrounded by stacks of essays about family traditions and holding a phone that keeps pinging with charges to my credit cards, something fundamental shifts inside me. The red pen in my other hand feels heavier, like it's full of all the corrections I should have made years ago. For the first time, I start calculating not just the cost of family generosity, but the price of being taken for granted. The breaking point comes at 11:47 p.m. on Thursday, 2 days before the Colorado trip I've paid for, but apparently won't fully experience. I'm lying in bed, scrolling mindlessly through Instagram to distract myself from the knot in my stomach, when I see it. Jessica's story from their pre-trip planning session at Marcus's house. The photo shows everyone gathered around his massive kitchen island, the one with the waterfall marble edge that cost more than my car. Mom is there with her reading glasses on, consulting what looks like an itinerary. Dad's pointing at something on Marcus's laptop screen. Amy is laughing at something her boyfriend Derek said while bouncing Marcus's youngest on her hip. They're all there, surrounded by Colorado travel guides and printed reservation confirmations, planning the vacation I'm funding. The caption reads, "Getting the squad ready for Colorado, can't wait for family adventures." I screenshot it before the story disappears, though I'm not sure why. Evidence, maybe. Proof that family meetings happen without the family bank. The timestamp shows it was posted 4 hours ago, which means while I was grading essays and eating leftover Chinese takeout alone, they were all together, planning activities and making decisions about the trip I'm paying for. My phone buzzes with a text from Mom. "Hope you don't mind, sweetheart. But we added a guided fishing trip for your father and Marcus. It was Derek's idea. Apparently, he used to guide in Montana. The deposit was only $340. You're such a blessing, making all this possible. Dad's so excited. Only $340. I do the math automatically now, a skill I've developed from years of unexpected family expenses. That brings the total to $7,887, more than my monthly take-home pay. More than some people spend on a car. More than I spent on furniture for my entire apartment. I call Jessica. We've always gotten along well. She's practical, direct, and unlike the rest of my family, she actually works for her money as a nurse practitioner. She answers after 2 rings, sounding slightly guilty. Tiffany, hi, I was wondering if you'd call. Jess, can you help me understand something? I saw your Instagram story from tonight. Was there a family meeting about the Colorado trip? She sighs, and I can hear Marcos saying something in the background, probably telling her not to get involved. Your mom called and asked if we could all come over to finalize details. I assumed you couldn't make it because of summer school. Nobody invited me, Jess. Nobody even told me there was a meeting. The silence stretches until she finally speaks, her voice softer. Tiffany, I tried to bring up that we should all chip in for costs, especially since you're covering so much. Your mom said you'd insisted on paying and that bringing it up would hurt your feelings. I actually laugh, a sound so bitter it surprises even me. She said I'd insisted? Marcus said something about how you don't have kids or a house payment, so you have more disposable income. I told him that's not how it works, that teachers don't exactly make bank, but... She trails off, and I can fill in the rest. But nobody listens to Jessica when family financial mythology is being constructed. What else did they plan without me? There's a spa day for the women while the men take the kids fishing. Amy's boyfriend is apparently some outdoor adventure expert now. They planned a whole day hiking to some waterfall that requires technical climbing gear. She pauses. Your mom said you wouldn't want to do that stuff anyway. Wait. After I hang up, I sit in my darkened bedroom and feel something I've never allowed myself to feel about my family. Anger. Pure, clean, justified anger. Not the guilty frustration I usually swallow or the confused hurt I rationalize away, but genuine rage at being used. I open my laptop and start pulling up bank statements. 3 years of family expenses stretch across my screen in neat rows of debits. Christmas gifts for everyone while I received Amazon gift cards. Mom's emergency dental work that coincided with her kitchen renovation. The deposit for Amy's apartment when she moved to Austin to be closer to family, but somehow never contributed to family expenses. Marcus's kids' birthday parties at expensive venues where I'm always asked to help out with costs as their favorite aunt. The pattern is breathtaking in its consistency. I am the family's financial safety net, expected to catch every expense that falls through the cracks of everyone else's more complicated finances. My simple life, no husband, no kids, no mortgage, has been reframed as a resource for everyone else's complex ones. But what's worse than the money is the realization that they don't just expect me to pay. They expect me to be grateful for the opportunity to pay. You're such a blessing, and we couldn't do this without you, now sounds like manipulation rather than appreciation. I think about my students, the ones who work part-time jobs to help their families while maintaining honor roll grades. They understand sacrifice as investment, contribution as earning belonging. But my family has created a system where I pay for inclusion and still get excluded. At 12:43 a.m., I make a decision that feels like stepping off a cliff. I open my banking app and navigate to my credit cards, the ones with numbers saved in Mom's phone, the ones Marcus uses for emergency family expenses, the ones that have become the family's unofficial expense account. I start with the Chase card that paid for the flights, then move to the Discover card that covered the cabin rental. One by one, I report them as lost and request immediate replacement cards with new numbers. The automated system asks if I want to maintain authorized users. For the first time in 3 years, I click No. Friday morning arrives with the kind of Texas heat that makes the air shimmer, and my phone starts buzzing before my coffee finishes brewing. 4 missed calls from Mom, 3 texts from Marcus, and 2 voicemails I'm not ready to hear yet. The credit card companies worked fast. New cards are being expedited, arriving Monday. The old ones are frozen, which means any additional charges my family tries to make will be declined. I'm not answering the phone yet because I need to think this through completely. 24 hours ago, I was a teacher who happened to have generous impulses. This morning, I'm someone who has actively cut off her family's access to her money. The shift feels seismic, like tectonic plates rearranging themselves under the foundation of everything I thought I knew about love and obligation. During my lunch break at summer school, I drive to my favorite thinking spot, the walking trail around Lady Bird Lake. The water moves steadily toward the dam, indifferent to the chaos in my head, and I call the person I should have called years ago, my college roommate Sarah, who became a financial planner and moved to Denver after graduation. Tiff, are you calling because you're finally ready to talk retirement planning? Her voice is warm, teasing, familiar in a way that makes my chest tight. Sarah, I need help, but not with retirement. I need someone to tell me if I'm losing my mind or finally finding it. I tell her everything, the Colorado trip, the family meeting I wasn't invited to, the 3 years of expenses I've been tracking on my laptop. She listens without interrupting, asking only for clarification on dollar amounts. When I finish, the silence stretches long enough that I wonder if the call dropped. Tiffany, she finally says, her voice gentler than I've ever heard it. You've been financially abused by your family for years. The words hit like cold water. That's dramatic, Sarah. They're not abusive, they've isolated you from family decision-making while exploiting your income. They've made your financial contributions a condition of family inclusion, then excluded you anyway. They've gaslit you into believing your simple lifestyle means you owe them your disposable income. Her voice gets stronger, more professional. I have clients who've been through this exact pattern with romantic partners. We call it financial abuse because that's what it is. After we hang up, I sit in my car in the school parking lot, air conditioning running, and let myself really look at the spreadsheet I've created. 3 years of data, organized by family member and expense type. The numbers are devastating. $23,846 in family contributions that were never repaid, never reciprocated, and apparently never appreciated. But it's not just the money. Sarah was right about the isolation. I realize I haven't been to a family gathering in 2 years where money wasn't discussed, where I wasn't asked to contribute to something, where my value wasn't somehow connected to my willingness to pay for things. Every birthday, every holiday, every celebration has become an opportunity for someone to present me with an expense that I'm expected to cover graciously. My phone rings again, Marcus this time. I take a deep breath and answer. Tiffany, what the hell is going on? Mom tried to put the grocery deposit on your card for tomorrow's drive-up, and it got declined. Same thing happened when Dad tried to get cash for the fishing guide tips. The cards are frozen, Marcus. Frozen? Why? Did someone steal your information? I could lie. I could say it was a bank error, a security precaution, a temporary glitch. Instead, I hear Sarah's words about financial abuse and find a strength in my voice I didn't know existed. I froze them, Marcus. All of them. The silence is different than Sarah's thoughtful pause. This silence is shocked, maybe even offended. Are you serious right now? We leave tomorrow morning. Everyone's packed, the kids are excited, Dad bought new fishing gear. You can't just freeze your cards and screw over the entire family. I can't screw over the family, I repeat slowly. Marcus, do you hear yourself? I'm not screwing anyone over by controlling access to my own money. But you said you'd cover everything. You can't change your mind at the last minute. When did I say I'd cover everything? I agreed to book the cabin and flights. I never agreed to become the vacation ATM for every add-on expense you all decided on without including me in the decision. Tiffany, come on. You know money's tight for us with the kids and the mortgage, and Mom and Dad are on a fixed income. You're the only one who can afford extras. There it is, the family mythology made explicit. My simple life equals available money, equals obligation to fund everyone else's complex lives. The logic that's trapped me for 3 years, laid bare. Marcos, I say, surprised by how calm I sound, you make $180,000 a year. I make $60,000. Your mortgage payment is a choice you made when you bought a house twice the size you need. My ability to afford extras comes from not having extras, not from having more money than you. That's not... You don't understand what it's like supporting a family. You're right. I don't understand what it's like supporting a family. But I'm learning what it's like to stop supporting one that doesn't support me back. I hang up before he can respond, my hands shaking from adrenaline and something that might be pride. Saturday morning, the day they're supposed to leave for Colorado, my doorbell rings at 7:15 a.m. I'm still in my pajamas, drinking coffee and grading the last of my summer school essays when I see Mom's Honda Pilot in my parking lot through the window. She's alone, which means this is serious. When the family sends Mom to handle financial negotiations, it's because they think her sweet grandmother voice will succeed where Marcus's demands failed. I open the door to find her holding a box of HEB collages and wearing the floral blouse I bought her for Mother's Day. The symbolism isn't subtle. Morning, sweetheart. I brought your favorites, sausage and cheese. Can we talk? We sit at my small kitchen table, the same one where I graded those essays about family traditions, and I watch her arrange the collages on my plates like this is a normal Saturday visit. Her hands are shaking slightly, and I realize this conversation is as hard for her as it is for me. Tiffany, honey, I don't understand what's happened. Marcus said you froze your credit cards? I did. She's quiet for a moment, then uses her fingers to break apart a collage, not eating it, just needing something to do with her hands. We're supposed to leave in 3 hours. Your father's been up since 5 packing his fishing gear. Amy drove in from San Antonio last night. The kids have been talking about nothing but Colorado for weeks. I know, Mom. Then help me understand why you're doing this to us. The phrase hits exactly wrong. Doing this to you? Cutting us off right before a family trip. Making everyone scramble to figure out how to pay for things when you know we planned around your generosity. I set down my coffee cup harder than necessary. You planned around my credit cards, not my presents. There's a difference. So, what do you mean? When did anyone ask if I wanted to go whitewater rafting? When did anyone check if I was free for the family planning meeting at Marcus's house? When did anyone consider that maybe I'd like to be included in decisions about how to spend the money I'm providing? Mom's face shifts into the expression she wears when one of us kids is being unreasonable. Sweetie, you've never been interested in outdoor activities. You're always reading or grading papers. We just assumed You assumed I'd rather pay for everyone else's fun than be asked to participate in it myself. That's not fair. Mom, I saw Jessica's Instagram story. You were all there Thursday night, planning the trip I'm paying for, and nobody thought to invite me. I found out about the whitewater rafting when you charged it to my card without asking. I learned about the spa day from Jessica, not from you. Her collage falls apart in her fingers, and for a moment she looks older than her 68 years. You're always so busy with school. We didn't want to bother you with planning details, but you wanted to bother me with paying for them. The silence stretches until she finally speaks, her voice smaller. You never seemed to mind before. I minded, Mom. I've minded for 3 years. I just didn't know how to say it without sounding selfish. You're not selfish, honey. You're the most generous person I know. Generous people get invited to family meetings. Generous people get asked what they want to do on vacations they're funding. Generous people don't get told they wouldn't enjoy activities everyone else is excited about. My phone buzzes with a text from Dad. Tiffany, your mother says there's some confusion about the trip expenses. Can you please call me so we can sort this out? The kids are asking why we can't leave yet. I show Mom the text. This is what I mean. It's confusion about expenses, not we realize we've been taking advantage of our daughter. It's something to sort out so you can leave, not something to examine about how our family works. What do you want from us, Tiffany? The question hangs in the air, and I realize she's genuinely asking. She doesn't understand what I want because nobody's ever asked me what I want. They've only told me what they need. I want to be included in decisions before I'm asked to pay for them. I want family meetings that include the whole family, not just the people who don't contribute financially. I want someone to occasionally ask what I'd like to do instead of assuming I wouldn't enjoy it. And if we do that, you'll unfreeze the cards. Her response tells me everything I need to know. She's not hearing me. She's negotiating with me. This conversation isn't about understanding how I feel. It's about restoring access to my money. The cards stay frozen, Mom. If you want to take this trip, you'll need to figure out how to pay for the extras yourselves. Tiffany, be reasonable. Your father and I are on Social Security. Marcus has a mortgage and 2 kids. Amy just started a new job. Nobody else can afford. Then maybe the activities you can't afford shouldn't be part of the plan. She stares at me like I've suggested something radical. But the kids are so excited about the whitewater rafting, and your father's been looking forward to that guided fishing trip for weeks. Then Marcus can pay for whitewater rafting with his $180,000 salary. Dad can enjoy the river without paying a guide. The cabin and flights are covered. You can still have a wonderful family vacation. It won't be the same. You're right, it won't be the same. It'll be a vacation funded by the people who are actually going on it. Mom leaves 20 minutes later, taking the untouched collages with her. Through my window, I watch her sit in her car for several minutes, probably calling Dad or Marcus or both. Part of me wants to run outside, apologize, promise to fix everything so we can all pretend this conversation never happened. Instead, I pour another cup of coffee and return to my essays. My student wrote about helping his grandmother with groceries every week, contributing to the family not because he has the most money, but because it's what family members do for each other. I write in the margin, beautiful example of mutual care and reciprocity. For the first time in 3 years, the irony doesn't make me laugh bitterly. 3 months later, I'm sitting in my favorite coffee shop in South Austin, grading papers and genuinely enjoying the peaceful Saturday morning, when Jessica texts me a photo. It's from their second family trip this year, a weekend at South Padre Island that they planned and funded themselves. Everyone's sunburned and happy, building sandcastles with the kids, and for the first time in years, nobody looks stressed about money. The caption reads, "Miss you, but so proud of how we pulled this together. Marcus actually enjoyed planning everything himself." They went to Colorado after all, that first weekend, without the whitewater rafting, without the guided fishing, without the spa day, but they went. Dad caught fish from the shore and declared it his best fishing trip ever because he taught his grandson how to cast. The kids hiked to a waterfall that didn't require technical gear and loved it more than any expensive adventure activity. Mom posted pictures of everyone cooking together in the cabin kitchen, something that wouldn't have happened if they'd been eating at restaurants I was paying for. The financial relief in my life has been immediate and tangible. My savings account, depleted for years by family expenses, has grown by $4,000 in 3 months. I bought myself new hiking boots, real ones this time, not the cheap pair I settled for when I was funding everyone else's adventures. I'm taking a weekend trip to Santa Fe next month, my first solo vacation in 5 years. But the emotional changes have been more complex. The first month was the hardest. Family group texts became stilted and infrequent. Phone calls dropped off. I wasn't invited to Amy's birthday dinner, ostensibly because it was small and casual, but I suspect because they were afraid I'd expect them to pay for my meal instead of the other way around. Marcus and I didn't speak for 6 weeks. When he finally called, it wasn't to apologize but to update me on a promotion at work. During our awkward conversation, he mentioned almost casually that planning the South Padre trip had been actually pretty fun, and that he'd never realized how much work went into coordinating family activities. It was the closest thing to acknowledgement I was going to get. The real breakthrough came during a phone call with Dad in September. He was telling me about helping Marcus install a new ceiling fan, and something in his voice was different, warmer, more present. "You know, Tiffany, I've been thinking about something your mother told me you said, about wanting to be included in planning, not just paying." "Yeah?" I realized I couldn't remember the last time anyone asked what you wanted to do for family activities. We just assumed you'd go along with whatever we planned, as long as you could afford it. It was such a small admission, but it felt huge. "I love spending time with you all, Dad. I just wanted to feel like my preferences mattered too." That they do matter. I should have asked you what kind of fishing you might enjoy instead of just assuming you wouldn't want to fish at all. 2 weeks later, he invited me to spend a Sunday afternoon at the neighborhood pond near their house, just the two of us. We didn't catch anything impressive, but we talked about books and my students and his garden. No one mentioned money once. It was the best time we'd had together in years. The shift with Mom has been slower and more complicated. She still occasionally makes comments about how easy my life is compared to everyone else's, but she stopped calling with requests for financial contributions. More importantly, she started calling just to talk. Last week, she asked if I wanted to meet her for lunch, her treat, and spend an hour listening to me talk about my students without once suggesting I should consider having kids of my own. My relationship with Amy has actually improved. Without the dynamic of me as family bank and her as frequent borrower, we've rediscovered that we actually enjoy each other's company. She drove to Austin last month just to hang out, and we spent Saturday wandering through vintage shops and food trucks, splitting every bill equally without discussion. The biggest surprise has been my own sense of self-worth. For 3 years, I measured my value to my family by my willingness to absorb their expenses. Without that framework, I've had to rediscover what I actually bring to family relationships. My sense of humor, my ability to listen, my genuine interest in everyone's lives, my skill at finding common ground during disagreements. I'm still the family member who notices when someone's having a hard time and checks in. I still remember birthdays and anniversaries. I still bring thoughtful gifts and offer practical help when someone needs it. But now these offerings come from choice rather than obligation, and they're appreciated differently because they're not expected. The new family dynamic isn't perfect. We're all still learning how to relate to each other when money isn't part of every equation, but it's healthier, more honest, more sustainable. Last Sunday, I got a group text about planning Thanksgiving. Instead of someone immediately suggesting I host and handle expenses, the conversation was about what everyone could contribute. Marcus offered his house. Amy volunteered to coordinate the menu. Dad said he'd handle drinks. Mom suggested we all chip in equally for ingredients. And then Jessica wrote, "Tiffany, what would make Thanksgiving special for you this year?" It was such a simple question, but it made me cry right there in the grocery store checkout line. Because someone was asking what I wanted, not what I could provide. What gift will you finally give yourself when you stop measuring your worth by what others are willing to take from you?